There was a time in my life where I was working so hard just to get ready to take a vacation and then come back to work still feeling exhausted because for a long time my life was really shaped around my achievement, success, doing all of the things and just waiting for that next break. But after my sabbatical, well, after my career burnout, first girl, then after my sabbatical, I realized that I just didn't want rest and joy and my wellness to only fit into small temporary pockets that I had to fit in during a break. I wanted to build a life where these things fit in there consistently on a daily basis. So that's what I want to talk about in this video. I want to talk about the shift that I created when I started to intentionally break away from building a life that I had to constantly take a break from. Before two, we are just a few days away from day 100. How crazy is that? A few days away. So like I was saying, for a long time, I was just living my life for my next vacation, like many of us do in corporate America, especially when we're ambitious, especially when we're driven, especially when we're on the career ladder. And even if we weren't in a position of climbing the career ladder, just really exceeding at our jobs, we were just living for the next vacation. Again, I know I was. And I was even taking like vacation days just randomly too. Like I wouldn't always take like a week off or 2 weeks off or whatever that looks like. But then let's get into that too. Like in these corporations and the benefits that we have around our PTO and only having 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, maybe. That's if you're lucky. I know some organizations offer 6 weeks, but that's pretty rare. But even if you had 6 weeks of PTO and you're working for a full year, like the math just does not math. But for me, again, I would be working so hard, leading these projects, leading a large team, executing, just like doing all of the things, take the vacation, and then come back to work extremely exhausted. I talk about multiple situations like this in my book, Release and Renew. But as I also, talk about in the book, like my burnout just made me come to a great realization that I did not want to live my life like that anymore. And literally, I couldn't live my life like that anymore. It wasn't sustainable, number one. It was no longer desirable because I was in a position of where I was basically abandoning myself, not taking care of myself, putting myself on the line for everything and everyone else. And I just did not want to live that way anymore. I realized that I had built this life that continuously sucked me dry, drained me to the core, and put me in this cycle of where I really never got any true relief because I did not have any true space, excuse me, to really recover from all the things my mind and body was taking on. So what I really had to do after my sabbatical, well, first of all, as I've shared in other videos on this 100-day journey, I really used my sabbatical for a time of healing, a time of clarity, and it was the most transformational time of my life. I was able to get crystal clear on how I wanted to work and live, and not only how I wanted to, start developing the steps and how I would get there. Of course, I did not have everything mapped out perfectly. You really can't. I wouldn't even try to recommend anyone trying to do that. But it's just getting clear just enough of those next 2 or 3 steps that you're going to take to ultimately get to the life that you desire. And that's what I did during my sabbatical. I just got really clear on the life that I wanted to live. And my next best step at that time was finding a more aligned job for the work part, and then prioritizing my health and wellness above all things else, like making that whole commitment to myself that my health and wellness will always be a priority no matter what. Those were the things that I had to really hone in on. I had to be very clear with myself and stern with myself, like, Erica, rest comes when you need it, not after exhaustion, not after the project is done, not after you've reached this goal, and not after you survive the situation. Rest comes daily when you need it, and as many times during the day as you need it. So as I've shared, multiple times on this 100-day journey, I do many things to prioritize my rest daily. Walking is one of them. I walk in nature daily, sometimes multiple times a day, on the beach, out in nature. I do many creative projects, my hobbies, but I call them creative rest practices. The things that I'm really leaning on now are painting and cross stitching. I do that for creative wellness practices. I step away from my desk when needed. I'm building a business, I'm navigating a 9 to 5. So I'm doing a lot of things, and I step away when I need it. I'm not in a season anymore where I'm just pushing for the sake of pushing. Last week, what I did, again, because I'm always, it's May, the weather is nice outside in Florida before it gets just too blistering hot. So for a midday break a few days ago, I actually took my cross stitch and I went over and I sat out by the pool under a tree, and I just cross stitched for 35 minutes, just sitting there, the water, it was a nice little breeze coming through, and it was a work day, so I stepped, excuse me. Embracing ease, what the girls do. It was the work day, but I stepped away from my desk, got my cross stitch, went over by the pool and just sat there. I think I was there for about 35 or 40 minutes, and I just slowly cross stitching. That's one of the things that I personally like about cross stitching. Not only is it analog, it's not digital, and I like it because you're slowly revealing a beautiful picture or pattern that you're creating. But I also like it because it is a very slow practice. It's not something that you rush through. It's the holes are very small. So it's a very slow and intentional practice. It's not something that you really rush through. And that's what I really like about cross stitching. It's slow. You're ultimately going to reveal something beautiful, and it's analog. It allows my mind to just center on that with no distractions, nothing else around me. But after, I did that for about 35, 40 minutes, I came back in and, got back to work. Again, that's a part of me resting. That's a part of me doing it in real time every day, not waiting until I crash out or I just get extremely exhausted. And again, especially right now with me showing up on YouTube every single day, it's been a lot, because while I found a way for me to show up on YouTube in a way that's more easeful, it still requires a lot of effort in addition to me navigating a 9 to 5 and building a business. I really had to be even more intentional about being mindful of how I'm using my time and energy, so I don't get back to a place where I'm getting drained super quickly to the point of depletion. And with those things that I do now every day for rest, I just kind of got to a point where I just stopped using rest as a means of only do it when you're tired, only do it when you're exhausted, or only do it every now and then. It's something in some way that I practice every single day. And that goes beyond just physical rest, but really understanding the 7 types of rest, which part do you need, when do you need it, and then taking those steps to give your mind and body what it needs. And again, like I said, I'm still ambitious, I practice easeful ambition. That's a term that I coined because while I still have goals and visions and desires for my life, I'm not doing it at any cost. I want to follow my ambitions in a state of intention, in a state of flow. And that's why I call it easeful ambition. I'm just not chasing my goals, my desires, my dreams at any cost anymore because I did that before. I paid the cost. It was a very expensive cost, and I just don't want to pay that cost again. I don't believe in success and whatever that may look like to you. And for me, I don't believe in success that requires you to not take care of yourself, not abandon yourself, and put everything else before yourself. I don't believe in that anymore. Again, I used to believe in that so much that's why I ultimately had built this life of where I was just waiting for the next break, waiting for slow season, waiting for the project to end, waiting for things to get a little bit better. Just all the things that we always wait for, and then when that thing finally happens, if it even happens, but when slow season comes, when that project ends, before you start the next project, take the vacation, take the time off, and still coming back exhausted. I didn't want to be in that constant cycle anymore. So I just had to break free from it. Again, I had to be pushed there. And that's why I'm having these conversations, because I hope that they can help you or another woman not get to that point where I ultimately had to get to. I realized I was waiting for life to make space for me instead of intentionally building in that space for myself. And again, that's what I've been doing over the last 4 years. Again, I feel like years 1 and 2 are kind of trial periods. You know what I mean? But these last 2 years, I've definitely got into more of a sync, and things are still difficult. Things get hard. Again, I'm building something that I ultimately desire while still navigating a 9 to 5. So I'm in that real, what they call it, the messy middle, where you're in a space that you've outgrown, but you have responsibilities while you're building your ultimate desire, and what that space looks like and feels like in the middle. And it is difficult. However, for me, I'm still going to prioritize my health and wellness, And like I said, it's not always easy. Choosing yourself is not easy. Again, because if it was, many of us wouldn't find ourselves in these situations. We're groomed and raised and believed to think that abandoning yourself and just pushing ahead and pushing through is the only way, but it's not. Wellness has become a part of my everyday life. It's something that I will continue to prioritize. I have just integrated wellness into my everyday life. I'm not saving, moments of joy for later, like going to the beach every week, multiple times a week, spending time with friends on a random Tuesday. I'm just not waiting for those types of things anymore, or only just waiting for a vacation to rest or any of those things that we've done in the past. I'm allowing those things to happen in my everyday regular life. Because I feel too, when you make it just a part of your regular life, it becomes normal. Again, it's not some special event. Oh, I'm going to take my vacation, then that's when I'm going to be able to rest. No, girl, I'm resting. I'm resting every day. I wanted my actual life, the life that I'm living right now today, to feel more aligned, more spacious, more sustainable. And that's what I'm building. That's what I'm living. That's what I'm continue to elevate and expand upon, instead of just that past version of myself where I was just, working for that next break, working for that next vacation. And I think a lot of ambitious women are living their lives or surviving their lives that only feel manageable when they can escape temporarily, when they can get to the end of the project and take that vacation and get away. That's how so many ambitious and driven women are living their lives. And I was like, no, I don't want to do that. So I just stopped building my life around existing in exhaustion and recovery cycles, And if I'm honest, the recovery cycle wasn't really recovery, because I went back to work still feeling exhausted. So like I said before, I'm still ambitious. I still work, but I'm just at a space now where I'm not putting my health, my wellness, my rest, my creativity. I'm not paying the cost of those things anymore to chase my own personal ambitions, or more importantly, what the world tells us that we should do. So I have in my notes here, at some point I had to ask myself whether I wanted to rest only, if I wanted rest to only exist during vacations, weekends, or after my burnout recovery, or if I actually wanted to build a life that made space for it consistently. And that's what I've built. That's what I continue to build. And I think that's something more women like you should reflect on, if you really want to build that life for yourself, because you deserve a life that does not require constant recovery from just living in it. So let me know down in the comments if this video resonated with you. Just a few more days to day 100. If you missed any of the conversations I've had on this journey, I've listed them down in the description below. I'm Erica Prevail, and I share daily conversations. A few more days, helping ambitious women rework their relationship with ambition, capacity, rest, and creativity. I'll talk to you tomorrow. Bye.